So I wanted to sit down and give some thoughts about Act 2 of Heresy and how it was just a crazy, wild ride of highs and lows and a lot of stuff happening that shouldn't have happened. But at this point, it's kind of like it's growing on me, these releases, and I will say the bugs are bad, and it does seem that the volume of these bugs and the severity keep getting a little worse and worse, but I will say that within a few hours of the release of Act 2, Bungie had everything pretty much tidied up, at least with the major issues. I know I've talked a lot about the bugs and the amount and the severity and all that stuff recently, and it's probably getting annoying, but again, this is a critique and it comes from a place of love for the game that, you just don't want to see this happen every single release, or you would at least like to see the severity of this stuff lessened. And it's really crazy how the downtime for the servers was very long, and somehow the Rite of the Nine event got released early. That is an Act 3 event that'll be coming out soon, and it's not finished yet. And to me, this was more funny than it was annoying, because it's not like it was intended to be released now and it was released in an unfinished state. It was clearly an accident, and a happy accident at that, as some people were able to complete these versions of the dungeons before they were taken offline, which I'm not sure if, it's the finished product of these dungeons and how difficult it's going to be. I think Salta Greppo did Spire in 30 minutes. Maybe the changes they have in mind for each of these dungeons weren't implemented yet, but 30 minutes for a contest clear is pretty insane, and I don't think that's intended, but we'll find out when that event releases. Talking about the story, I do enjoy Eris Morn, and by the way, the Drifter has been awesome this season. His voice actor has delivered some great lines, and Morla, who voices Eris, she never disappoints. She can turn the most mundane moments into just exciting, crazy fun, and that's what voice acting is supposed to do. And obviously there are still some voice lines missing, but I think that the story itself, and obviously the voice actors and actresses lines that are in the game, regardless of those that aren't, make up for that. Obviously having some of these lines as opposed to none at all is nice, and of course not having AI or scabs is also really nice. I do think there were some continuity issues because lore books were not being properly rewarded. So again, going back to the bugs, just another one that kind of caused a little confusion for a lot of people, because there's a lore book that talks about how Sloane and the Drifter had a conversation right after the Drifter was like, I'm a head out, I'm depressed and my wifey's dead, so I'm gonna leave. And Sloane basically pulled him back from the brink in that lore book that we didn't get. So when he was back at the beginning of Act 2, it was kind of confusing. Like, wait, didn't you just leave? Like, why are you here? And this is just a personal critique. I think they could have handled Eris's death a little bit better, because there really was no surprise that she was alive, at least if you are a lore junkie, or even you just dip your toes into lore a little bit. You know that it was likely she was going to have a throne world. With the cutscene at the end of the story in Act 1, we saw Eris alive and well. There wasn't any drama there. We knew. We Ben knew. So that's just me, little critique. I do think overall this story is amazing, and what's coming next is exciting. Joshua David King has done a great job with Oryx, and of course Deborah Wilson as Savathun is just so great as well. And this whole dynamic with the siblings, how we have essentially 3 different paths. Oryx is chill and wants us to be his successor. Zivu is angry at us, obviously, because we killed her beloved brother, and she wants her brother to take back the role of the navigator. And Savathun's just like in the middle, like, why are we doing this still? We could literally just do anything else and be free from this logic. And honestly, Oryx and Zivu, like, I'll get you guys some ghosts, like, let's get that going, which would be insane and very ironic considering that Oryx has slain many species who, of course, used the light and the power of the Traveler in the past. Of course, I'm talking about the Ammonites mostly. But yeah, the irony would exist there, and I don't think Oryx would do that. But Zivu would probably be interested, but again, she's very um, into the sword logic, right? So I don't think she'd betray that, even though she already wants to betray it, right? So the story for this season is definitely the best of any episode, and I think you can easily say, without having seen Act 3 story stuff yet, or even Act 2 being finished, that this is the best episode by far, right? The activities are cool and unique and enjoyable, and the story is amazing. The weapons, for the most part, are really, really good, and the exotic weapon Barodiad is also pretty fun. So, by far, overall, this is the best episode, and I don't think you can really debate that because I think most people would agree with me on that. But, I'm not most people, so I don't want to speak for anyone. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But aside from that, with Act 2, we also got a new PvE mode for Guardian games with Rushdown, which is a boss rush mode. Essentially, you're just trying to kill these bosses as quickly as possible. And I haven't really played it that much. The little I did play was cool. You're kind of just going through old campaign bosses, which is a nice blast from the past. And honestly, I'm someone who's been asking for just some kind of variety with these yearly events. And this is exactly what I was asking for. It might not be the most well-polished thing out there, but it's something different, and it shakes up the constant meta of, just doing Guardian game strikes. It'd be cool to get away from the class matchmaking and supremacy in Guardian games, because that is a little tedious. I think it should just throw you in and have your mixed class team, because I don't think people really care that much about that stuff. I know it's on theme, but again, it's not that big of a deal to me. And I do find it annoying to have to wear the class item every time this event comes around. Same thing goes for wearing the masks in Festival of the Lost. It'd be really cool if you could transmog this stuff so that you could do it that way. But it is awesome that the class items this time around are Artifice. So if you don't have Artifice armor, this is a free way to get it. Not only that, when you do switch off from your regular class item to this Guardian Games one, you're not losing any stats, which is also really nice. So, that'd be cool if they did something like that with the mask as well, made it Artifice, so you're not losing your stats as well. But, it's not the end of the world with this stuff. It's, you're only wearing it for 3 weeks. It does mess with my loadouts, and I do forget to put the class item on, which is mainly the reason why I don't like that. But again, it's only for 3 weeks. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it for my thoughts. I think Destiny 2 is at the best point it's been since last year with the final shape. Echoes was really a low point, and Revenant, and I think I'm guilty of this a little bit. I was fatigued with a lot of the same cadence and Destiny in general, and Heresy has really reignited that passion for playing the game and talking about the game and how it can be better, and that's mainly what I want to do on this channel. And I have to give Bungie kudos when I can, even though the game is a hot mess when it comes to bugs and the quality of these releases. It's still fun to play, and everything that has come out in Heresy is just truly amazing. Could it be better? Absolutely. But I think we risk asking for perfection, which is impossible, right? We can always strive, though, as content creators and people who just play the game, to ask for certain things to be better, to question why things are the way they are, and if they can, in fact, be better. You might be wrong sometimes. I mean, QA might be doing the best they can with all these bugs. They're probably still understaffed and all that, but, at the end of the day, the game is still fun. I still keep coming back and playing it, despite the bugs. They are annoying, and they do compound into frustration because you're playing this game constantly if you're making content on it, and every little bug that gets in your way is like a speed bump uh, on the highway, and it's not fun when that happens. But when this game is in a better place, let's say a month from now, hopefully, I think Act 3 will be out, but let's say it is in a better place, the bugs are better, maybe they've hired back more QA, which they have been doing a little bit of that, then maybe the game is in a better place, the bugs are lessened, and whatever else is better. But right now that isn't the case, and that's why I critique it, because I would like to see that improve for everybody. I'm beyond excited for the rest of Act 2, and Red of the Night honestly seems like something I might have enjoyed better than Pantheon. Pantheon was fun, it was a great experience, but listen, I love dungeons so much. I just made a dungeon ranking video if you want to go watch that. That was kind of like an overall dungeon ranking, not really on a group basis or solo basis, although I might do a solo flawless ranking at some point. But go watch that if you're a dungeon enjoyer like I am and you're curious to see my takes on where those specific dungeons are at. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up for me. I'll see you guys on the Dreadnought. Yeah.